Okay, so listen. Taylor Swift recently got married, and the thing is she reportedly used the most intense wedding security and NDA measures Hollywood has ever witnessed for her upcoming ceremony with Travis Kelce. I mean, sources claim Blake and Ryan were listed as enemy number one and number two on Taylor's do not invite list, meaning Blake was not only excluded, but allegedly kept away from approaching the venue with security personnel placed to prevent her from getting nearby during the entire wedding event at all.
Slap in the face, man. This is a slap in the face. This proves it's over. This proves they are not no longer.
Blake Lively has been known for having people sign very strict non-disclosure agreements, and some critics claim they were used to prevent negative stories about her or her actions from becoming public. And now some believe Taylor has turned that same strategy back toward Blake. Music, if you don't know. Reports have claimed that people involved with It Ends With Us signed NDAs that were so restrictive that details about the production continued emerging months later because many individuals could not openly discuss their experiences. And now some are saying Blake is facing similar restrictions through Taylor's wedding NDAs because guests reportedly cannot reveal details about what happened, who attended, or what conversations took place. Music. The same type of agreements Blake was accused of using for protection are now being viewed as a way for Taylor to protect her own privacy from unwanted information, creating an ironic situation where the person who critics say benefited from secrecy is now surrounded by it herself, because Taylor is reportedly making sure nobody can provide Blake with details she could potentially use to shape a story about what she missed.
The rehearsal dinner, not the big wedding ceremony, 1,000 people, and you did not make the cut. That's crazy. Like, that is a real line in the sand, screw you.
Okay, so let me explain exactly how seriously Taylor Swift reportedly kept Blake Lively away from her wedding because the security setup at Madison Square Garden was described as absolutely extreme. And when you hear that reports claimed there were 139 police officers, 5 lieutenants, 14 sergeants, and 15 National Guardsmen assigned around the VIP entrance, it sounds like a level of protection usually associated with major public figures. Now, that does not even include private security teams and event workers hired to help control the entire celebration, meaning the venue had a massive security operation designed to prevent unauthorized people from getting anywhere near the event, including anyone Taylor did not want present. The reports surrounding Blake being excluded became one of the biggest talking points because many believe the precautions showed just how carefully Taylor wanted to protect her wedding day. The presence of additional security measures suggested that no risks were being taken and that every possible detail was being controlled before the celebration began. There were also the NDAs and the watermarked invitations, which became another major part of the discussion because guests were reportedly required to agree to confidentiality before attending. The invitations themselves were reportedly marked to reduce the chance of leaks, making the wedding appear more like a highly protected private event than a normal celebrity gathering. It showed how seriously Taylor wanted to maintain privacy and control over information surrounding the ceremony. The NDAs reportedly were not focused on massive financial punishments, but the purpose was still clear, making sure attendees did not reveal private details about what happened, who attended, or what conversations took place. Guests were reportedly only given limited information, with dates like July 2nd and July 3rd shared before complete details about the location and schedule were revealed. That meant even invited people had to wait before knowing every part of the plan. The level of secrecy was designed to keep information contained and prevent details from spreading before the couple was ready. But the detail that made the entire production sound even more extravagant involved rumors that a life-sized castle could be created inside Madison Square Garden to capture the feeling of Taylor Swift's 2008 Love Story music video. When you consider the amount of planning, construction, and money required for something like that, it showed the ambition behind the celebration. Taylor was reportedly aiming for something that felt less like a traditional wedding and more like a fantasy experience. The transformation of MSG reportedly turned the famous arena into a massive preparation area, with construction activity affecting parts of Manhattan during an already crowded holiday period involving 4th of July events and other major activities. Local businesses and residents reportedly expressed concerns about disruptions caused by the preparations and closures around the area. Still, the goal was to create a unique atmosphere for everyone entering the venue. The commitment to the theme demonstrated how much effort went into making the celebration memorable. It was not simply about exchanging vows. It was about creating a carefully designed moment that people would talk about long afterward. Every security measure, private agreement, and production choice reflected a desire for control, privacy, and perfection. Whether every rumor proves accurate or not, the scale of planning surrounding the event showed how determined Taylor and her team were to protect the experience and make the wedding feel unlike anything else. The attention surrounding the ceremony also highlighted how difficult it is for celebrities of this level to experience private moments without outside curiosity. For Taylor, keeping control over the guest list, location details, and security arrangements appeared to be a way of protecting a personal milestone from becoming another public spectacle. The entire approach created a wedding atmosphere built around exclusivity, careful planning, and a desire to keep the focus on the couple rather than unwanted distractions from outside voices or unexpected situations. In the end, the event became a symbol of how far some stars will go to preserve privacy.
It's sad, though, to think that, like, you were friends with somebody for over a decade. This is the mother of your or the godmother of your children. And you screwed up so bad that you weren't invited to her actual.
The Sun magazine reportedly compiled a list of Taylor Swift's 10 biggest enemies who were not invited to the wedding, and the rankings created major discussion because Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds were claimed to be placed at number 1 and number 2. That would mean they were considered among the most unwanted names connected to Taylor's guest list, according to the report. The list also mentioned figures like Justin Bieber, Kayla Nicole, John Mayer, Calvin Harris, Charlie XCX, and Scooter Braun, all of whom have had different levels of public tension or controversy involving Taylor over the years. Many people would expect the biggest public conflicts to dominate the rankings, but the report claimed Blake and Ryan appeared above everyone else, creating even more speculation about how serious the situation had become. Kanye West and Kim Kardashian, who were involved in the highly publicized phone call controversy with Taylor years ago, were reportedly placed below them, which made the ranking even more surprising. The idea that Blake and Ryan could be viewed as bigger problems than people involved in some of Taylor's most famous disputes became a major talking point among fans. It represented a dramatic change from the past because Blake and Ryan were once viewed as close friends within Taylor's Hollywood circle, but now rumors suggested they were no longer part of her inner world. Think about that shift for a moment. This was a friendship where Blake once described Taylor with affectionate language and showed public support, but now reports suggested Taylor wanted distance during one of the most important moments of her life. The contrast between those two situations created a story about how quickly relationships can change when trust becomes an issue. The ranking above Kanye West was especially notable because the phone call controversy was one of the most difficult periods of Taylor's career. If the reports were accurate, it suggested that Taylor viewed recent events involving Blake and Ryan as deeply damaging to their friendship. However, the full details of their private conversations and feelings remain known only to those directly involved. Another detail that added to the conversation involved Prince William, who was reportedly connected to the wedding discussion. Reports suggested that he and Kate Middleton had a relationship with Taylor and Travis, and that there was consideration about whether they could attend. Unlike the rumors surrounding Blake and Ryan, the discussion around the royal couple appeared to involve timing and scheduling rather than personal conflict. That difference became another point people focused on, because it suggested different reasons behind who received invitations and who did not. The fact that Prince William was reportedly considered while Blake was rumored to be excluded created a major contrast in the public conversation. Many observers saw it as a sign of how differently Taylor may view various relationships in her life. But beyond the guest list, the bigger issue being discussed was privacy. Taylor has spent years protecting control over her personal information after facing intense public attention throughout her career. Her approach has always involved carefully managing what details become public and when. Any situation involving leaked conversations, private messages, or legal requests connected to her would naturally attract attention because privacy has been such an important part of her public image. According to critics, the reported actions surrounding Blake created tension because they involved information that Taylor may have expected to remain private. Supporters of Taylor argued that protecting personal boundaries was important, especially during a major life event like a wedding. The reported decision to keep certain people away was viewed by some as a way of protecting the celebration from unwanted drama. Whether every rumor proves accurate or not, the story shows how complicated celebrity friendships can become when fame, trust, and public attention all collide. The wedding guest list became more than just a list of names. It became a symbol of changing relationships, private disagreements, and the challenges famous people face while trying to protect their personal lives. In the end, the biggest conversation was not only about who attended, but about who was left out and why those decisions mattered so much. These conversations continued because Taylor and Travis had created an event surrounded by secrecy, security, and careful planning from the beginning. Every decision about attendance, privacy agreements, and public information became part of the larger discussion. For fans watching from outside, the situation highlighted how even the closest celebrity friendships can change when trust, loyalty, and personal boundaries are questioned over time in unexpected ways. Forced her to possibly testify about their private discussions was considered by some to be a major breach of trust because it could have placed Taylor's personal thoughts and feelings into a public courtroom where they might be interpreted differently, taken out of context, or used in ways she did not intend. Many believe Taylor would have struggled to move past that situation regardless of how the legal battle eventually ended. Taylor had reportedly been preparing for her wedding for months, and she wanted to prevent any conflict, distractions, or unwanted attention from affecting the celebration. That is why the security arrangements, confidentiality agreements, and carefully controlled guest list became such a major part of the discussion because Taylor wanted the event to feel like a private fairy tale moment she could remember positively for the rest of her life. The Madison Square Garden ceremony, the elaborate designs, the large security operation, and the protected invitations were all described as pieces of Taylor's plan to create a once-in-a-lifetime experience that people would talk about for years. According to critics, having controversy surrounding the event would have taken away from the atmosphere Taylor wanted to create. The extreme precautions surrounding the wedding showed how determined she was to protect a major personal milestone from outside drama. The effort Taylor reportedly made to control access and information demonstrated how seriously she values her peace and privacy. She wanted to make sure that no person, regardless of their fame or influence, could interfere with one of the biggest moments of her life. Some people also viewed the situation as Taylor making a larger statement about trust. The idea was that if someone violates her confidence and faces no response, others might believe those boundaries do not matter. By creating distance from people she no longer trusts, Taylor would be showing that even famous individuals can lose access to her personal world. That message would apply to anyone, whether they were former friends, industry connections, or people involved in past public disagreements. The discussion around Blake became connected to a larger conversation about loyalty, privacy, and consequences in Hollywood. Supporters of Taylor argued that protecting personal information is essential in an industry where relationships can quickly become public and private conflicts can turn into headlines. The situation also highlighted how celebrity friendships can change when trust is questioned. Taylor has built a reputation for carefully managing her career, business decisions, and personal image. Observers believe she understands the importance of controlling her own story and protecting information that belongs only to her. The idea that she would use strict privacy measures around her wedding was seen by many as consistent with that approach. Some critics compared the situation to previous discussions about NDAs and confidentiality agreements involving Blake. They argued that the same type of tools used to limit public discussion can also be used by others to protect themselves. The irony, according to those critics, was that a person who had been associated with controlling information could now find themselves outside the circle of people who know the details. The comparison between the situations became one of the biggest talking points because it created a narrative of reverse circumstances. However, the private realities behind these relationships are known only to the people involved. What remains clear is that confidentiality played a major role in the wedding planning process and that Taylor wanted the celebration protected from outside interference. Guests were reportedly restricted from sharing details, creating a situation where information stayed within the group of people who attended. This level of privacy meant that anyone outside the event, regardless of their connection to the couple, would not have access to the same memories and experiences. The secrecy surrounding the wedding increased public curiosity because people wanted to know what happened inside and who was present. For those watching from the outside, the event became an example of how powerful celebrities can create boundaries around their private lives. The entire situation showed how trust can determine who remains close and who becomes separated from a person's inner circle. Whether every rumor surrounding the situation is accurate or not, the conversation reflects a larger issue in entertainment. Privacy, reputation, and relationships are constantly under pressure. Taylor's decision to protect her wedding from possible controversy demonstrates how carefully celebrities must plan personal events when millions of people are watching. The story continues to attract attention because it combines friendship, fame, secrecy, and the complicated reality of life in the public eye. Meanwhile, Ryan Reynolds, who was once widely known as one of Hollywood's most charming and universally liked personalities, became another name connected to the broader conversation surrounding the reported fallout. And he had built this image of being an ordinary guy who happened to be married to a famous actress, and that approach worked for him for years. But now, according to critics and commentators, the way he has handled the Blake situation and the Justin Baldoni legal dispute has damaged that image, with some PR observers questioning the effectiveness of his choices. The issue for Ryan is that his public identity was built around being smart, funny, relatable, and culturally connected. He presented himself as someone who understood branding and marketing, someone who could promote almost anything successfully. However, recent events have caused some people to question whether that reputation still matches reality, as audiences look beyond the jokes and begin evaluating the decisions behind the scenes. One detail that attracted attention was Ryan limiting comments on his Instagram, which some viewed as a sign that the criticism had become difficult to manage through humor alone. For someone whose entire public image depends heavily on charm and self-awareness, losing control of that narrative can create serious challenges. The problem is that when audiences stop accepting the personality they have been shown for years, rebuilding trust becomes much harder. Some insiders have suggested that another Deadpool project could help restore Ryan's popularity because the character remains one of his strongest professional successes. Critics argue that relying heavily on one major franchise raises questions about the broader strength of his career and business reputation. They wonder what it means if one role becomes the main thing protecting his public standing after years of being viewed as a marketing expert. The situation has also created speculation about the personal pressure surrounding Blake and Ryan. People close to the situation have claimed that the controversy has created significant stress, with both individuals facing difficult questions about their choices and public responses. The phrase "black cloud" has been used to describe the situation because it represents the feeling that the consequences continue following them wherever they go. As more discussions emerge about legal claims, public relations decisions, and behind-the-scenes strategies, the pressure appears to keep increasing. In situations like this, relationships can become strained when people disagree about responsibility and how problems should be handled. Both individuals may feel frustrated while trying to protect their careers, reputations, and personal lives at the same time. Sources have also claimed that Ryan supported a public relations approach that did not produce the results they expected, while Blake trusted his judgment throughout the process. If true, that dynamic could create tension because both people would have to deal with the outcome of decisions made together. Ryan had positioned himself as someone who understood branding, communication, and crisis management, which is why some observers are paying close attention to how this situation develops. The contrast between his carefully built public persona and the current criticism has become a major part of the conversation. Some believe the challenge is not only about the controversy itself, but about whether the image he created can survive a moment when audiences are questioning the strategy behind it. For years, Ryan was known for his humor, advertising creativity, and ability to connect with fans. Now, every public move is being examined more closely because people want to know whether the same skills that built his reputation can help him recover. The situation shows how quickly public perception can change in Hollywood, where a carefully maintained image can become vulnerable when major controversies appear. Whether Ryan can reshape the conversation remains uncertain, but the pressure surrounding him and Blake has clearly become a defining moment for both of their public careers. The next steps they take will likely determine how audiences view their decisions moving forward. For now, the debate continues around trust, reputation, accountability, and whether their carefully created brands can withstand the level of attention surrounding them. Many fans and commentators are watching closely to see whether they address the criticism directly or continue relying on the same strategies that worked before. In the entertainment industry, public image can change quickly, and even successful figures must adapt when circumstances shift. The controversy has become a reminder that humor and confidence can only go so far when people are asking serious questions. If Ryan and Blake want to move forward, their future choices will likely matter more than previous achievements because audiences often remember how celebrities respond during difficult moments. Every statement, appearance, and decision may influence the way their stories are viewed for years to come. The outcome will depend on how they navigate challenges and rebuild public confidence ahead. Blake was expected to be the wife standing beside Ryan and trusting his direction. But now that the situation has completely unraveled, they are likely facing difficult conversations about what decisions should have been different and who made the wrong calls. That type of blame can become extremely damaging inside any relationship. Blake relied on Ryan to help navigate the crisis, and if reports about their strategy are accurate, the choices they made together created even bigger challenges. Now they both have to deal with the consequences while possibly struggling to accept that their combined judgment may have led them down the wrong path. A PR expert has argued that the couple's carefully arranged paparazzi appearances are failing because photographers are allegedly being informed ahead of time, and audiences recognize the pattern. Instead of appearing naturally happy and connected, some viewers believe the images come across as forced. Every new photo also gets linked back to the Justin Baldoni controversy, creating the exact opposite reaction they want. The issue with staged moments is that once people question whether something is authentic, every future appearance receives the same suspicion. Instead of making a couple appear relatable, it can make them seem like they are constantly managing an image for public approval. Blake's situation became more complicated after questions about trust, privacy, and friendship entered the conversation. Some critics believe she damaged important relationships by allowing private matters to become connected with a legal dispute. Now she faces public discussion about being absent from a major celebrity event while rumors continue about who was invited and who was not. Ryan Reynolds is also connected to the fallout because many believe he played an important role in the public response strategy. His reputation as someone who understands branding and communication has been heavily examined as people question whether his choices helped or hurt the situation. The same humor and confidence that built his image are now being tested under serious criticism. Taylor Swift, meanwhile, did not need to make a public statement to create distance. By reportedly controlling access to her wedding and protecting information through confidentiality measures, she kept the focus on her celebration rather than outside drama. Supporters believe that was the strongest message possible because people who were not included could not shape the story afterward. Blake could not comment on details she did not know, and guests were limited in what they could share. Whether every rumor surrounding the situation is accurate or not, the public reaction shows how powerful celebrity relationships can become when trust breaks down. The entire story has turned into a discussion about loyalty, privacy, reputation, and consequences. For Ryan and Blake, rebuilding their image may require more than appearances or carefully planned moments. It may require addressing the criticism directly and showing audiences a different side of their story. What do you think about Blake Lively not attending Taylor Swift's wedding? Share your thoughts below and subscribe for more videos. Many fans are still watching closely as the situation develops because this controversy has changed how people view these friendships and the importance of trust within Hollywood circles during moments of intense scrutiny.